Some of the following is about an ongoing case and a lot of the information should be treated as allegations rather than facts. I am repeating information that is already public and I encourage you to do your own research and come to your own conclusion on what happened.
Australia's worst female serial killer.
Good evening. She was labelled Australia's worst female serial killer, but
Reinforced her guilt-free woman.
Kathleen Folbigg has been the center of media attention in Australia for over 20 years. This has mostly stemmed from debate as to whether she is actually guilty or innocent. She has once again stepped into the media spotlight as she was pardoned earlier this year after spending 20 years of a 40-year sentence. So what happened? Let's start from the beginning. Kathleen Megan Donovan was born the 14th of June 1967 in New South Wales, Australia, but her upbringing was far from normal. On the tragic day of the 8th of January 1969, a devastating event unfolded. Her biological father, Thomas John Taffy Britton, committed a heinous act of violence that would forever alter her existence. This heart-wrenching incident involved the merciless stabbing of Kathleen's mother, who shared her name. Kathleen May Donovan was stabbed a total of 24 times, leaving behind an indelible mark of sorrow and loss. Shockingly, this horrific act of brutality took place when Kathleen was just a tender 18-month-old baby, rendering her an innocent witness to the unimaginable horror that unfolded before her eyes. In the wake of this ghastly crime, justice prevailed as Kathleen's father was swiftly apprehended by law enforcement officials, ensuring that he faced the consequences of his despicable actions. Following his arrest, he was convicted of murder and ultimately sentenced to a lengthy imprisonment of 15 years. However, the ordeal did not end there, as upon completion of his prison term, he was deported to his homeland, England, further severing any remaining ties to Kathleen and her shattered family. The harrowing circumstances surrounding Kathleen's upbringing forced her to navigate a challenging path as a young child. With her mother's life tragically cut short, she became a ward of the state, bereft of the loving, parental guidance that every child deserves. Initially placed under the care of a foster couple, the fragile stability of her new home was short-lived, as she was abruptly removed from their care on the 18th of July 1970, subsequently finding herself in the confines of Bidura Children's Home. The journey toward finding a place of belonging and solace was a tumultuous one for Kathleen. However, her life found a sense of stability. During this time, she entered into a permanent foster care placement where she had the opportunity to forge meaningful connections and form bonds with individuals who would become instrumental. Among those individuals was her foster sister Leah Bone, with whom she shared a childhood marked by adversity and loss. She left her academic pursuits, prematurely concluding her educational journey at the tender age of 15. Kathleen's life took an unexpected turn when love came knocking on her door. In the year 1987, she entered into marriage with Craig Gibson Folbigg, hoping to find solace and happiness in the embrace of a lifelong partner. Just as things were starting to look up for Kathleen, they went straight back downhill almost as fast. On February 1st, 1989, Kathleen gave birth to Caleb Gibson Folbigg, who possessed a unique characteristic that set him apart from many infants, a distinctive, albeit noisy way of breathing. Concerned about this atypical breathing pattern, Caleb's loving parents sought the professional guidance of a compassionate pediatrician. Following a thorough examination, the pediatrician arrived at the diagnosis of a mild case of laryngomalacia, a condition that held the promise of eventual resolution as Caleb grew older. Thankfully, apart from this particular condition, Caleb was born into this world in good health, bringing boundless joy to his doting family. However, the tranquility that surrounded Caleb's early days was shattered 19 days later on February 20th. Caleb was discovered lifeless in his slumber, lying peacefully in a room adjacent to his parents' bedroom. The devastating reality of his sudden passing sent shockwaves of grief reverberating through the hearts of his loved ones. It was during the silent hours of the night, from midnight until 2 a.m., that Caleb stirred restlessly, unknowingly embarking on his final journey. The cause of Caleb's untimely demise was attributed to what is commonly referred to as sudden infant death syndrome, a cruel and inexplicable phenomenon that claims the lives of innocents, leaving devastated families in its wake. A year later, Kathleen gave birth to her second child, Patrick Allen Folbigg, on the 3rd of June 1990, a cherished addition to the loving family that awaited his arrival. In the early days following his birth, Craig, Patrick's devoted father, made a heartfelt decision to remain by his wife's side, dedicating 3 precious months to providing support and care for both his beloved spouse and their newborn bundle of joy. The tranquil existence of the Folbigg family was shattered on the ill-fated day of the 18th of October. Kathleen Folbigg, the nurturing mother, tenderly put Patrick to bed. In the darkness of the night, Kathleen's husband Craig was jolted awake by the piercing sound of his wife's anguished cries. Rushing to her side, he found her standing beside their precious baby's cot, consumed by fear and desperation. It was at that moment that Craig's worst fears materialized before his eyes. Patrick lay motionless, his tiny chest devoid of the gentle rise and fall of breath. In a valiant attempt to revive their beloved child, Craig sprang into action, desperately performing cardiopulmonary resuscitation, hoping to breathe life back into his precious son. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, an ambulance was promptly summoned, whisking Patrick away to the hospital in a race against time. It was there that the devastating truth was revealed. Patrick had been grappling with the cruel challenges of epilepsy and cortical blindness. The inexplicable nature of the apparent life-threatening event remained shrouded in mystery, leaving the Folbigg family grappling with unanswered questions. Despite the unwavering efforts of medical professionals, Patrick's valiant battle reached its heart-rending conclusion 4 months later on the 13th of February 1991. Succumbing to the relentless grip of seizures, his tender soul departed this world, leaving a void that could never be filled. As the weight of unimaginable grief pressed upon Kathleen's soul, she reached out to her husband, Craig, at his workplace on the 18th of February 1991, trembling with pain and anguish. The words that escaped her trembling lips cut through the air like a knife, encapsulating the magnitude of their shared despair as she whispered, "It's happened again." In the year 1996, seeking a fresh start and a change of scenery, Kathleen and Craig Folbigg embarked on a new chapter in their lives, settling in the serene town of Singleton. Here, amidst the tranquil surroundings, they hoped to find solace and a sense of renewal after enduring the immense heartache that had befallen their family. Their longing for a ray of sunshine amidst the darkness that had engulfed them was answered on the 14th of October 1992 when Sarah Kathleen Folbigg came into their lives, a precious bundle of joy and a beacon of hope. However, the cruel hand of fate struck once more, robbing the Folbigg family of the joy and laughter that should have accompanied Sarah's milestones. Tragically, on the 29th of August 1993, at the age of only 10 months, Sarah's presence on this earthly plane was abruptly cut short, leaving behind nothing but memories. In the year 1996, seeking a fresh start and a change of scenery, Kathleen and Craig Folbigg embarked on a new chapter in their lives, settling in the serene town of Singleton. Here, amidst the tranquil surroundings, they hoped to find solace and a sense of renewal after enduring the immense heartache that had befallen their family. Their hopes for a brighter future were momentarily rekindled on the 7th of August 1997, when Laura Elizabeth Folbigg came into their lives, a precious ray of light that brought a renewed sense of joy and purpose. However, the seemingly relentless hand of fate dealt yet another devastating blow, casting a dark shadow over the family's newfound happiness. It was on the 27th of February 1999, when Laura was merely 18 months old, that her radiant presence in their lives was abruptly extinguished, leaving behind a profound void that echoed through the depths of their souls. It was at this time that Craig began to no longer trust Kathleen. Eventually, he ended up reporting her to the police in 1999, and then they got divorced in the year 2000, believing with little doubt that his partner was responsible for the death of their 4 children. Ultimately, in 2001, Kathleen was arrested. The trial of Kathleen Folbigg unfolded over the course of 7 weeks in the year 2003. Amidst a charged courtroom atmosphere, the prosecution presented their chilling allegations, asserting that Folbigg had committed the unspeakable act of murdering her 4 children, purportedly by smothering them during moments of overwhelming frustration. Central to their case was the argument that the probability of all 4 children dying of natural causes was exceedingly low, drawing upon the controversial Meadows Law, an axiom attributed to British pediatrician Roy Meadow, which proclaimed that 1 sudden infant death is a tragedy, 2 is suspicious, and 3 is murder, until proven otherwise. Amidst the gripping drama of the trial, a pivotal moment occurred during the replay of Folbigg's police interview, when she made a desperate attempt to flee from the confines of the courtroom, underscoring the emotional intensity that permeated the proceedings. In mounting a robust defense, Folbigg's legal team vehemently asserted her innocence, denying any involvement in the deaths of her children. They maintained that she did not hold her husband Craig responsible either, while the prosecution's witnesses expressed concerns about the absence of prodromal, early warning symptoms in any of the children. The defense offered alternative explanations grounded in natural causes, such as cot death and, in the case of Laura's tragic passing, myocarditis. The defense emphasized that Folbigg was a devoted and caring mother, pointing to journal entries that vividly portrayed her deep love and concern for her children. Testimonies from individuals who knew her further attested to her nurturing nature and compassionate disposition. Emphasizing the absence of explicit confessions or admissions to the killings within Folbigg's journal entries, the defense argued that any indirect references that seemingly suggested her responsibility could be attributed to the typical guilt experienced by a grieving mother. It was noted that Folbigg exhibited genuine distress in the presence of paramedics and police responders at the scenes of the incidents. Additionally, the defense underscored the lack of physical evidence linking Folbigg to the alleged murders, highlighting the circumstantial nature of the case and the absence of consensus among the scientific experts who provided testimony throughout the trial. The main thing they had to examine was Kathleen's diary entries at the time, which the prosecution insisted was admittance of guilt. In one diary entry, Kathleen wrote of her daughter Laura, "She's a fairly good-natured baby. Thank goodness. It has saved her from the fate of her siblings. I think she was warned." In another entry, "I feel like the worst mother on this earth, scared she'll leave me now like Sarah did. I knew I was short-tempered and cruel sometimes to her, and she left with a bit of help." And in another entry, while pregnant with her daughter Laura, "This time I'm going to call for help. This time I'll not attempt to do everything myself anymore. I know that was my main reason for all my stress before, and stress made me do terrible things." Within the diaries, Kathleen also referenced her father, who killed her biological mother in 1969. "I am my father's daughter," she wrote. Speaking to Australian Story, Kathleen explained that her diaries were written from a point of me always blaming myself. "I blamed myself for everything. It's just I took so much of the responsibility because that's, as mothers, what you do." She also explained that the quote, "she left," with a bit of help referenced God or some higher power. She also spoke about her state of mind when her 4th child, Laura, was born. "I was so stressed and so scared and so feeling vulnerable and so not understanding and so not just dealing or coping with the whole concept that we might be doing this again. So I started writing in those diaries," she said. There was a desperation throughout these diaries if anyone bothered to read the actual whole diaries. They're full of nothing but pain, angst, torture, trying to figure out things, understand the ununderstandable, she added. Thinking, I've lost these three. Why have I lost these three? Laura has to stay, and I was so desperate to grasp at anything, so there were a few comments in there that probably didn't make any sense whatsoever. In the episode, Nicholas Cowdery, the former New South Wales Director of Public Prosecutions, said that Kathleen's diaries do not amount to confessions of killing any of her 4 children. The diaries are not confessions. They're not admissions of physically harming any children. They are more expressions of her state of mind about certain issues, he said. On the 21st of May 2003, a Supreme Court jury in New South Wales delivered a verdict of guilt against Folbigg for several offences, including 3 charges of murder, 1 charge of manslaughter, and 1 charge of intentionally causing severe bodily harm. Subsequently, on the 24th of October 2003, Folbigg received a prison sentence of 40 years, with a non-parole period set at 30 years. On the 17th of February 2005, the court granted an appeal and reduced her imprisonment term to 30 years, with a non-parole period of 25 years. Given the nature of the offenses she was convicted for, Folbigg was placed in protective custody as a precautionary measure against potential harm from fellow inmates. However, following a prison transfer, she was subjected to a severe assault by another inmate on the 1st of January 2021. In 2013, a legal team in Newcastle took on Folbigg's case, enlisting medical experts who argued that the deaths of her children were likely due to natural causes, such as sudden infant death syndrome and other medical conditions. They presented their findings to the Attorney General's office in Sydney in June 2015. 3 years later, an inquiry was announced to address doubts raised by the petition. Genetic testing revealed a mutation in Folbigg's COM2 gene, which is associated with cardiac disorders. However, a 500-page report released in July 2019 did not cast reasonable doubt on Folbigg's guilt, according to Reginald Blanche, a former chief judge of the district court. In November 2020, genetic evidence was published revealing that at least 2 of Folbigg's children had genetic mutations associated with an increased risk of sudden cardiac death. The researchers concluded that the COM2 mutation found in Kathleen and her 2 daughters impacted their heart rhythm, potentially leading to unexpected death triggered by factors like respiratory tract infections in Sarah or myocarditis in Laura, as well as medications like Laura's pseudoephedrine. It was noted that COM2 mutations are extremely rare, occurring in approximately 1 in 35 million individuals, and the COM2 gene plays a crucial role in heart rhythm regulation. Regarding the other 2 children, Caleb and Patrick, both carried 2 potentially fatal genetic mutations in the BSN gene, bassoon presynaptic cytomatrix protein, which has been linked to early-onset lethal epilepsy in mice. One mutation was inherited from their mother, while the second one was likely inherited from their father, Craig. Importantly, none of the 4 children showed any indications of smothering during the autopsy. Following the inquiry, Folbigg's legal team requested a review, claiming potential bias. The new evidence was then presented during the appeal to the New South Wales Court of Appeal. However, on the 24th of March 2021, the appeal was ultimately denied. On the 18th of May 2022, Attorney General Mark Speakman responded to pressure from investigative journalist Ramon Stoppelberg by initiating a new inquiry into Folbigg's convictions. Subsequently, on the 5th of June 2023, the New South Wales Attorney General Michael Daly advised Governor Margaret Beazley to exercise the royal prerogative of mercy, leading to Folbigg's pardon. Consequently, she was released from prison on the same day. That brings us to the present day. Kathleen, a free woman who in the eyes of the law had much of her life wrongfully taken from her. But after so many years of being told that she was guilty, some simply don't believe the new advancements in genetic evidence. Tell me what you think in the comments. Please like, subscribe, and share this wherever you can. I'm trying my absolute hardest to reach 1,000 subscribers. Thank you, and until next time, keep fearing the living.